My beloved chosen one, please do not scroll away. I need you to stop exactly what you are doing right now. They always described you the same way, did they not? You were the quiet one who always absorbed the painful blows. But something monumental has shifted in the spiritual atmosphere. A massive anomaly just occurred because of your recent choices. Archangel Michael says this is your final warning, and it is reaching you right now because every other divine sign has been completely missed. Take one slow and completely real breath right now. Feel that sudden heaviness leaving your tired chest. You are absolutely not watching this message by accident today. This is a direct interception from the highest divine realm. You have been walking through a brutal storm lately. The people you trusted tried to break your spirit completely, but your reaction changed the entire spiritual landscape forever, and you did something incredibly dangerous to the forces of darkness. Your unexpected attitude left God completely and utterly speechless. Even the highest angels in heaven were absolutely stunned by what you just did. They watched as the enemy threw everything at you to make you crumble. They expected you to cry out in bitter despair. They waited eagerly for you to beg for mercy. But the frequency you emitted instead was terrifying to them, because you refused to play their twisted game anymore. Do not take your eyes off this screen. The heavy attacks you have been facing recently are not without a divine purpose. They are hard proof of absolute and utter panic. The enemy is absolutely terrified of your new strength. You did not react the way you used to react in the painful past. You did not give them a single drop of your precious energy. And because of that one single choice, you accidentally activated an ancient spiritual protocol that changed everything. Archangel Michael had to step in immediately to secure your perimeter. If you leave this message now, you will miss the final key. You will single-handedly shut the door on the blessing your soul desires. Heaven is trying to hand you the exact decoder ring for all the strange phenomena happening around you, but you must be willing to receive it. The people around you are acting incredibly weird lately. Doors are closing unexpectedly right in your face. You feel entirely isolated and unfairly pushed away. You thought you were doing something horribly wrong. You questioned your own sanity during those long and silent nights. Stop letting the loud world convince you that you are simply stressed out. That is your spirit detecting a massive shift in your current earthly timeline. The narcissists who plotted against you are watching everything they built fall apart, and they are desperately trying to find a way to blame you for it. Your silence has become a lethal weapon against them. They thought your silence was a sign of pathetic weakness. They thought they had broken your spirit when they pushed you into isolation. But what they did not realize was that solitude was your ultimate training ground. You evolved into something untouchable, and now your sheer presence makes them shake with an uncontrollable fear. You transformed into a force they can no longer manipulate or control. Your energy demands respect without a single word being spoken. There is a profound reason your spirit has been so restless lately. A secret heavenly delivery is coming directly to your front door, but you must be completely prepared to receive it when it arrives. Funny how everyone pretended they did not see your true power coming. They severely underestimated the fierce fire burning inside your soul. Welcome to your glorious era of quiet authority. Heaven is about to expose exactly what is happening behind the closed doors of your enemies. What exactly was the specific attitude that shocked the divine realm? Why did your simple choice of non-reaction cause such a violent ripple across the entire spiritual universe? You are about to find out the absolute truth, but you must promise your future self to stay until the very final second. The darkness does not want you to hear these next empowering words. They are actively trying to distract you from this ultimate revelation, because they know it will set you completely free. If you take your eyes off this message, you will lose your heavy spiritual armor. You will step back into the chaotic battlefield without your divine shield. The universe is aligning a beautiful collision of miraculous events just for you. But there is a hidden mechanism buried deep inside this massive breakthrough. You will completely miss it if you let your attention fade away right now. Stay locked on this exact spiritual frequency and allow the divine truth to wash away every single doubt in your mind. Those who mocked you are now feeling an unnatural and heavy dread. They cannot explain why they feel so uncomfortable around your shining energy. It is because your spiritual authority has been fully activated. You are operating on a frequency that burns their toxic intentions to the ground before they can even reach you. Take a deep breath before we go any further. You have been exhausted lately. Your shoulders feel incredibly heavy. The weight is entirely real. And every morning when you wake up, the heaviness is already sitting on your chest before you even open your eyes. You push through the daily pain. You force a smile for them. But inside, your spirit is barely holding on to reality. The past few months have felt like an endless and brutal marathon. You gave your pure heart to people who only wanted to take from you. You listened patiently to their problems. You wiped away their bitter tears. And when it was your turn to ask for help, you were met with a terrifying and cold silence. The isolation you feel right now is suffocating. They expected you to break down completely. The narcissists in your life carefully orchestrated a situation to push you to the absolute edge. They wanted to see you lose control. They needed you to scream and cry because your emotional reaction was their favorite source of dark energy. They fed on your beautiful light. They loved your pain. You woke up at 3 in the morning with your mind racing. Your heart was pounding fast in the dark room. You felt a strange tightness in your chest when a specific person texted you. Your body knew the truth long before your conscious mind could accept it. The universe was sending you physical warnings about their truly toxic intentions. But this time, you did something completely different. You did not send that angry paragraph. You did not beg them to understand your gentle heart. You looked at the total chaos they created, and you simply walked away in absolute silence. You chose to protect your peace, instead of fighting a useless and endless war with bitter fools. I need you to pay close attention to this next part. Stop blaming yourself for the painful betrayal. Stop thinking you did something wrong to deserve their harsh treatment. You were targeted specifically because your bright light was too blinding for their dark souls. Your kindness was a massive threat to their fragile and fake reality. You are an empath who has carried the heavy weight of the world. You absorbed the toxic energy of every room you walked into, and you mistakenly thought your deep sensitivity was a terrible curse. You thought it made you weak and totally vulnerable to their endless manipulation. But that sensitivity was actually your divine radar working perfectly. When you finally pulled your energy back, they panicked. They suddenly felt a massive void where your unconditional love used to be. They tried to provoke you again and again. They spread nasty rumors to ruin your good name. They hoped the public humiliation would force you to step out of your quiet sanctuary and fight them in the dirty mud. You remained perfectly still. You watched their pathetic attempts to destroy you with a calm and detached mind. The silence after the storm hits differently when you realize you were the storm all along. You did not break under the heavy and unfair pressure. You simply gathered your broken pieces and forged them into an unbreakable shield of light. Take a deep breath and let that truth settle in your tired spirit. You are absolutely not crazy for feeling this intense spiritual shift. The sudden disgust you feel for superficial conversations is completely normal. You are simply outgrowing the low vibrational environments that used to drain your precious soul. Your energy is becoming highly exclusive. No one saw the silent tears you cried in the shower. No one knew how terribly hard it was to get out of bed on those very dark days. You fought invisible demons while everyone else thought you were doing just fine. The loud world may have ignored your silent suffering, but heaven documented every single tear you shed for those completely ungrateful people. You survived the terrible storm entirely alone. You built strong boundaries that they could no longer cross. And this is exactly where the grand puzzle starts to make perfect sense. Your sudden silence was absolutely not a weak surrender. It was a profound declaration of war against the dark forces that tried to consume your beautiful destiny. They took your gentle forgiveness for granted every single time. They thought you would always be the bigger person and let them walk all over you. They assumed your quiet nature meant you lacked a strong and fierce spine, but they severely misunderstood the deep source of your endless grace. Your grace was a precious gift from God, and it was finally revoked. Tap the like button as an act of agreement with what God just spoke to you. The painful isolation was actually a divine intervention to keep you safe from their slow poison. You were pulled away from the noisy crowd because you were meant to lead them. You were absolutely never meant to follow their blind and highly destructive path in life. There is a deeply hidden reason why you were pushed to the point of absolute exhaustion. You did not suffer through that horrible nightmare just by chance. The universe deliberately allowed those toxic people to drain your precious energy. They pushed you into a tight corner where your only escape was total silence, and this painful isolation forced you to finally rely on your own inner voice. You thought your lack of reaction was a terrible sign of weakness. You judged yourself harshly for not screaming back at their ugly faces. The world tells you that a strong person must fiercely defend their honor, but the loud world is completely and utterly wrong about true strength. You believed the toxic lie that your gentleness was a massive character flaw, but heaven saw it as the ultimate foundation for your new spiritual empire. Listen carefully to what I am about to say next. Your absolute silence was never a cowardly retreat from the brutal battlefield. It was a spectacular display of supreme spiritual maturity. You chose to protect your delicate frequency instead of rolling in the dirty mud with them, because you finally realized that your peace of mind is worth far more than a petty victory. That is absolutely not weakness. That is the ultimate sign of energetic mastery. They threw their hateful words like heavy stones at your fragile heart. You did not pick those heavy stones up to throw them right back. You simply let them fall uselessly to the cold ground around you. You watched their desperate attempts to trigger you with a profoundly calm mind, because you finally realized that their anger had nothing to do with you. They were practically begging you to engage in their chaotic drama. They truly thrive on the messy conflict and the bitter emotional exchange. A healed person no longer tolerates terrible confusion disguised as genuine love. A chosen one no longer tolerates blatant disrespect disguised as brutal honesty. You completely cut off their primary source of toxic food, and they slowly began to starve when you refused to provide them with your precious emotional reactions. You became the weapon you were trying so desperately to survive. Your quiet refusal to fight them on their low level shifted the entire dynamic. The painful betrayal did not come to destroy your pure and trusting soul. It came to violently upgrade your deep intuition and completely rewire your nervous system. You evolved far beyond their basic level of earthly comprehension, leaving them entirely confused as they watched you rise effortlessly above their pathetic and desperate attacks. You denied them the very fuel they desperately needed to survive. And this is exactly why your silence left God completely speechless in heaven. Most ordinary people would have easily surrendered to the tempting call of bitter revenge, but you trusted the divine justice system more than your own angry hands. You chose the high road when the low road was so incredibly easy, proving to the universe that your soul is finally ready to hold massive amounts of true power. You stepped completely out of the way and let the universe take over. You surrendered the heavy burden of vengeance back to the highest divine court. By doing absolutely nothing, you actually did the most powerful thing possible. You allowed the natural laws of karma to activate on your exact behalf, and heaven immediately dispatched warrior angels to fight your heavy battles for you. This quiet choice requires an immense amount of spiritual strength and pure discipline. It is so incredibly hard to bite your tongue when you know you are right. It physically hurts to watch them spin fake stories while you stay quietly in the shadows. But your quiet obedience was the exact key to your massive spiritual elevation, because it proved that you have finally mastered the wild impulses of your own human ego. Every time you held back a bitter insult, your vibration raised significantly higher. Every single time you ignored a toxic message, you broke a generational curse. You proved that you are no longer a slave to your raw human emotions. You are fully ascending into a magnificent master of your own reality, and the dark forces are absolutely terrified of this new version of you. Do you feel that slight pull in your chest right now? That is your strong intuition, confirming this beautiful truth to your tired soul. The narcissists were merely temporary tools used by the universe to sharpen your brilliant mind. Once their messy job was completely done, they were immediately discarded from your active timeline, leaving you free to walk into your glorious new season without their heavy emotional baggage. Here is the profound truth you have been waiting to hear all along. The universe did not corner you just to watch you bleed and cry. That agonizing pressure was an intense test designed to permanently upgrade your entire nervous system. You passed the brutal test with absolute grace, and now the glorious reward is finally knocking loudly at your front door, waiting for you to simply turn the handle and let it in. There is a massive secret your enemies are desperately trying to hide from you today. They walk around pretending that your sudden absence does not bother them at all. They post happy pictures and laugh loudly to make sure you see them. But behind those heavily filtered photos and fake smiles, a completely different and deeply chaotic story is actually unfolding right now. You see, narcissists operate purely on stolen spiritual currency. They do not have their own internal source of divine light to sustain their dark souls. They survive strictly by attaching themselves to glowing empathic beings like you. When they provoked you in the past, your intense emotional reaction was an instant meal for their empty spirits. Every tear you shed was a massive, energetic feast for their ego. Every angry text you sent gave them an intense rush of false power. But when you chose absolute silence, you completely severed the invisible cord that fed them. You literally cut off their main spiritual food supply without giving any warning, and this sudden starvation sent them into an absolute frenzy. Now, they are completely starving in the cold dark. They are experiencing a severe spiritual withdrawal because they cannot access your precious light anymore. They check your social media obsessively while pretending they do not care. They ask mutual friends about you just to get a tiny drop of your distant energy, secretly hoping to hear that you are miserable without them. Their usual manipulation tactics are suddenly failing them completely. They try to poke your old wounds, hoping to get a familiar, painful reaction. They create fake emergencies just to see if you will run back to save them. But your heavy walls of silence remain perfectly intact, and they cannot find a single crack to sneak their toxic poison through. This absolute lack of access is driving them absolutely crazy. They are terrified because they finally realize they never had real power over you. They only had the power that you willingly handed to them in your pure innocence. And now that you have taken it firmly back, they are left facing their own ugly demons alone in the terrifying quiet. Take a deep breath and let that sink in. Without your bright light to constantly distract them, they are forced to look at their own dark reflection. Your silence acts as a giant spiritual mirror held right up to their guilty faces. Every nasty thing they try to project onto you is violently bouncing right back at them, causing them intense psychological pain. Their entire fake reality is starting to crumble under the heavy weight of their own lies. The new people they used to replace you are already seeing right through their toxic masks. The universe is systematically removing their enablers one by one. Heaven is completely isolating them just as they maliciously tried to isolate you in the painful past. They are trapped in a terrible prison of their own making. God does not need to send literal fire from heaven to punish an energy vampire. He simply removes the chosen one from the room and lets the darkness consume itself. Your peaceful absence is the ultimate divine punishment they are currently suffering through every single day, and they cannot escape it. You are completely protected from their desperate attempts to pull you back under. Type 111 down in the comments to claim this divine alignment. By doing this simple action, you are locking the heavy iron gates of your spiritual fortress. You are officially declaring to the universe that your energy is no longer available for any kind of dark theft. They will eventually try to crawl back when their pathetic life falls completely apart. They will come wearing fake apologies and promising massive changes to win you back. But their empty words will sound like cheap noise to your highly upgraded ears. Your sharp intuition will instantly detect the hidden poison buried deep beneath their incredibly sweet promises. They truly hate you for exposing their deep darkness without ever raising your voice. They thought they were the main characters in your story, but they were just a brief chapter. You have turned the page and closed the heavy book entirely. Your profound silence was the loud closing of a final door they can never reopen. Do you remember the massive secret I mentioned earlier? Here is the absolute truth heaven wants you to fully understand today. The big secret they are desperately hiding is their sheer, uncontrollable panic, because your silence completely destroyed their carefully built matrix. They are utterly terrified of the untouchable master you have finally become. Your energy field is now vibrating at a completely different frequency. The toxic emotional hooks they planted in your mind have totally dissolved into thin air. You can walk right past them without feeling a single drop of old anxiety. Their opinions hold absolutely zero weight in the massive spiritual kingdom you are actively building right now. They thought your silence meant you were mourning their terrible loss. They believed you were sitting in the dark, waiting desperately for them to finally return. But they are slowly realizing that your long silence is the beautiful sound of deep inner peace. You are busy building a beautiful empire while they are constantly struggling to maintain their cheap illusions. You have successfully crossed over into a brand new and powerful spiritual dimension. The silly things that used to bother you feel incredibly small and entirely insignificant now. The universe removed those toxic distractions to clear the massive stage for your next grand act. Get ready, because the real divine show is just about to start in a truly glorious way. But wait, before we go any further into the signs, you need to understand the massive cosmic scale of what just happened. The spiritual realm operates on incredibly high and sensitive frequencies, and when you chose total silence over bitter revenge, a literal shockwave rippled through the golden halls of heaven. God himself paused in profound silence. He was watching your incredible restraint. The divine council fully expected a huge emotional fight. Human nature almost always demands a violent and loud retaliation. When you are deeply hurt, your first human instinct is to strike back with equal force. The angels were actively preparing to comfort you through a messy emotional breakdown, because that is what usually happens when a pure heart is completely betrayed. But you did not break down. You completely shifted the paradigm. This brings us directly to Archangel Michael. He is the ultimate and most powerful spiritual warrior in the universe. He has seen billions of messy human conflicts across thousands of years, but your quiet authority in the face of absolute disrespect left him completely stunned, because he recognized the exact frequency of a true divine master. You wielded your heavy silence like a sharp broadsword. You fought a massive spiritual war without moving a single earthly muscle. Your profound restraint instantly triggered an ancient divine protocol. Michael immediately stepped down into your earthly timeline. He brought an entire legion of fierce warrior angels right behind him. Because you completely refused to defend yourself with cheap earthly weapons, heaven took over and made your ultimate defense their absolute top priority. You stepped gracefully back and let God fight the battle for you. This is exactly why your toxic enemies are now terrified. The shockwave you created dissolved massive demonic traps instantly. The dark forces had carefully set up a highly complicated maze just for you. They desperately wanted to keep you arguing in circles forever. But your absolute refusal to engage simply starved their dark matrix of energy, causing their entire elaborate trap to completely collapse onto its own dark foundation. Heaven watched the dark walls fall down. God smiled brightly at your brilliant tactical move. Take a deep breath right now and let that truth settle. You need to fully absorb this massive spiritual revelation. You are not just surviving a random earthly conflict with bitter people. You are actively demonstrating the highest level of spiritual warfare, and you are teaching the entire universe how to gracefully handle extreme toxic manipulation. You are a weapon of pure light. You are a truly rare soul indeed. Michael placed a massive flaming sword directly at your front door. He permanently sealed your personal energy field from the outside world. No dark entity can ever cross this powerful new boundary again. Your enemies might try to peek over the spiritual fence to check on you, but the intense light radiating from your new angelic guard will instantly blind their malicious and jealous eyes. They cannot touch you ever again. You are completely surrounded by divine fire. That is why the silence in your room feels so incredibly different now. It is absolutely not the sad silence of a lonely victim crying in the dark. It is the heavy and powerful silence of a guarded king sitting on a throne. God was literally left speechless because you skipped the human phase of bitter revenge entirely, and you jumped straight into the divine frequency of absolute and total sovereignty. You passed the ultimate spiritual test. You finally graduated into a master of reality. Listen carefully to this next part because it changes everything. When you walked away without screaming, you broke a heavy generational curse. Your ancestors always fought back and stayed trapped in the endless karmic cycle of bitter revenge. But you stopped the dark pendulum from swinging back and forth. You absorbed the painful blow and let the negative momentum completely die out within your own healed heart. Heaven erupted in massive cheers for your quiet victory. Your attitude of radical non-reaction was the exact key to your freedom. The dark forces expected you to validate their fake power by getting highly upset. They need your anger to prove that they actually matter in your grand life. But by giving them absolutely nothing, you reduced them to total insignificance in the spiritual realm. You deleted their negative influence from your bright timeline. You wiped their dark fingerprints off your beautiful destiny. This level of supreme emotional control is incredibly rare on earth. Even the highest angels in heaven were absolutely fascinated by your quiet dignity. They watched you bite your tongue when you had every single right to destroy your enemies with the brutal truth. Your silence spoke volumes louder than any angry shout ever could. You allowed the universe to become your personal lawyer and your ultimate judge. God has fully taken over your legal case now. The divine protection of Archangel Michael is not just an invisible concept. You are actively feeling this massive shift in your physical body right now. The universe is currently transferring a massive spiritual and earthly reward directly into your waiting hands. But you must firmly recognize the specific signs of this glorious arrival before it fully manifests. Let me explain the exact physical markers you have been experiencing lately. You have been suddenly waking up at exactly 3 in the morning. Your mind feels strangely alert instead of anxious. This is not terrible insomnia, keeping you awake in the dark, but rather a direct download of new spiritual blueprints from heaven into your soul. They are completely rewiring your tired nervous system while you quietly rest. The universe is preparing your physical vessel to hold massive amounts of new wealth and profound peace. Another massive sign is your sudden and absolute disgust for superficial conversations. You simply cannot tolerate empty small talk anymore, because your highly upgraded frequency is aggressively rejecting any low vibrational noise. You look around your old environments and feel entirely disconnected from them. You feel like a rare anomaly sitting quietly in a room full of sleeping people. This sudden detachment is absolutely not a sign of depression. Your frequency has simply outgrown the low vibrational rooms you used to sit in, and the universe is pulling you away to place you on a much higher throne. Pay close attention to the undeniable synchronicities happening around you daily. You are seeing repeating angel numbers everywhere you look right now. You look at the clock and see 111 or 777 staring back at you. These are not silly coincidences. These are literal digital receipts, confirming that your massive heavenly delivery is already in transit, and your new reality is rapidly taking physical shape. Your body is also giving you powerful physical confirmations of this massive upgrade. That heavy and painful tightness in your chest is finally melting away. For months you felt a constant heavy pressure every time your phone buzzed with toxic news. But now you feel a strange and beautiful lightness taking over your entire physical body, allowing you to finally breathe deeply again. This incredible physical relief means your soul knows the spiritual war is officially over. You are no longer existing in a constant state of terrible survival. A massive generational wealth transfer has been officially approved in the divine courts just for you. The universe is actively aligning a brilliant collision of miraculous events to bless your future timeline abundantly. Every closed door you cried over is about to be blown completely off its heavy hinges. The relationships that drained your precious energy have been permanently severed by divine fire. But I must warn you about something incredibly dangerous approaching right now. There is a fatal trap lying quietly just before the finish line, and 99% of chosen ones fall for it right before their breakthrough. The forces of darkness know exactly how close you are to your absolute victory. They cannot stop the massive blessing from arriving at your front door today, but they can certainly try to distract you, so you drop it out of fear. Right before the beautiful dawn breaks, the darkness will try one final and desperate trick to steal your precious focus, and you must be completely ready for it. The fatal trap is the sudden appearance of a toxic counterfeit from your painful past. An old enemy or a toxic ex will suddenly try to reach out to you right now. They will send a casual message pretending that absolutely nothing bad ever happened between you two. They will try to violently test the strong boundaries you just built with your own blood and silent tears. Take a very deep breath right now and prepare your fierce spirit. Do not reply to their desperate attempts to reconnect with your bright light. That text message is a direct spiritual test disguised as a friendly, earthly greeting. Heaven is watching closely to see if you will open the heavy door to the past, or if you will firmly keep it locked shut forever to protect your new peace. If you ignore their pathetic attempt, you instantly pass the final spiritual exam. Your total silence will be the ultimate key that unlocks the massive vault of heaven. You are the cycle breaker your entire bloodline has been desperately waiting for. You survived the brutal storm entirely alone, and now you will enjoy the glorious sunshine in absolute and untouchable peace. The intense loneliness you felt was a rigorous spiritual crucible designed to protect your aura. Heaven had to ruthlessly remove those fake connections to make room for your true blessings. Your God-approved kingdom connections are literally stepping into your physical timeline as we speak, and they will recognize your pure soul the very moment your eyes finally meet. The era of begging to be understood by toxic people is permanently over. You are rapidly stepping into a magnificent season where your pure desires manifest almost instantly. The strange tingling you feel in your hands right now is your powerful energy field activating. You are a weapon of pure light, and your magnificent reward is finally here. The waiting season is officially over. The dry desert you walked through has suddenly burst into a beautiful oasis of divine favor. Every single closed door is being blown completely off its heavy iron hinges. Can you feel that massive shift in your spirit right now? That is the glorious frequency of absolute victory running fiercely through your veins. You are stepping into the exact timeline you were born to rule. The universe is happily handing you the heavy golden keys to your new kingdom. You survived the brutal and relentless attacks of the enemy. You did not surrender your pure heart to the darkness when it was so incredibly easy to become bitter. And because of your profound endurance, heaven is crowning you today. Here is the absolute truth you waited for all this long time. The hidden mechanism that blocked your prayers for years was never your lack of faith. It was the constant hum of survival mode keeping your frequency far too low. But tonight, that weak signal is officially being overridden. Your quiet authority completely shattered the old dark matrix, and you are finally free. They thought your beautiful silence was a sign of terrible weakness. They thought they had broken your spirit when they pushed you into deep isolation. But what they did not realize was that solitude was your ultimate training ground. You did not break under the crushing weight. You evolved. Now, your presence alone shifts the entire atmosphere of any room you walk into. Your silence has become a lethal weapon that terrifies them, because they can no longer manipulate what they cannot access. You are officially the untouchable master of your own reality. The spiritual forces of pure light are standing fiercely behind you. Archangel Michael has drawn his flaming sword, and he is permanently stationed at your beautiful front gates. You are totally untouchable right now. You are completely unbothered by the pathetic noise of the fading world. Those who plotted your dramatic downfall are watching their own fragile empires turn to dust. Meanwhile, a magnificent table is being prepared for you right in their very presence. They will watch you eat the glorious fruits of your silent labor, but they cannot sit with you. The era of begging to be understood by broken people is permanently dead. You no longer need their fake validation to feel whole and complete. You are completely overflowing with divine light, and you are vibrating at a frequency that only massive miracles can reach. The vast wealth and the deep peace you were promised are flowing effortlessly into your new timeline right now. You are the vital break in your bloodline that future generations will sincerely thank you for. The heavy generational curses have stopped entirely with your brave soul. You absorbed the toxic shockwaves, and you miraculously transformed them into pure golden light. Heaven is throwing a massive celebration in your absolute honor today. Your quiet victory is echoing loudly across the universe. Take a deep breath and let this immense power fill your chest. You are no longer the fragile empath who begged to be understood by blind people. The intense crucible of pain has forged you into the untouchable master of your reality. From this exact moment on, your energy demands total respect without a single word being spoken out loud. You have fully arrived. The pitch-black darkness has retreated far behind your back. The brilliant dawn of your new era is shining its brightest rays onto your spiritual crown. You have crossed the raging river of deep pain, and you are finally standing safely on the promised land. But you must actively claim this massive victory before the spiritual window closes completely today. The enemy desperately wants you to doubt this beautiful revelation. They want you to close this message and quickly forget your new supreme power. They know that if you fully accept this divine upgrade, they will lose you forever to the brilliant light. You must create an absolute shield of protection around your newly activated frequency. You must seal this reality right now. Do not let this glorious moment slip through your fingers today. You have fought far too hard to stay quiet and hidden now. You need to perform a simple physical action to lock this magnificent blessing into your earthly timeline. The universe requires you to stake your claim loudly, proving that you are completely ready to receive everything heaven has prepared for you. Feel the intense divine energy surging through your body right now. This is the heavenly anointing washing away every single trace of your old trauma. You are reborn as a fierce warrior of bright light. And heaven is eagerly waiting for your final command to release the physical rewards into your open hands. Stand tall and prepare to receive your infinite blessings today. To lock in this glorious frequency and create an absolute shield of protection around your life, you must act right now. The universe responds immediately to physical declarations of deep faith. Type down in the comments exactly these words: I am ready to receive my blessing. Seal this magnificent reality into your timeline today. Let the enemy see your total confidence. God is watching your brave response in this exact second. You have spent countless hours in silent prayer fighting massive spiritual battles. Do not let the dark forces convince you to stay completely quiet anymore. Your loud declaration is the final nail in their dark coffin. Hit the like button to activate the steady flow of divine favor into your newly cleaned space. If this fiery message has reignited the beautiful faith inside your tired soul, do not keep this great blessing to yourself. There is a broken soul out there bleeding in the dark of deep despair right now. They desperately need a guiding light to show them the safe way home. Share this powerful message with them today. Sowing the seed of hope is multiplying the blessing for yourself. Subscribe to the channel right now to anchor yourself at the highest vibrational frequency possible. This simple action builds a permanent energy receiving station right in your own digital yard. Every single time you connect with this divine truth, you fortify the heavy walls of your spiritual castle while keeping the toxic enemies entirely locked outside. The darkness will fail miserably. You are no longer the fragile empath who begged for crumbs of fake affection. The heavy chains of your painful past have been completely shattered into a million tiny pieces. You are standing proudly in the bright sunshine of your new and glorious era. The people who heavily doubted your wild dreams are now watching your massive rise with absolute shock, and they simply cannot understand how you survived their brutal attacks. They are totally speechless. Your quiet authority has officially spoken the loudest truth. The intense waiting season is permanently over for you and your beloved family. All the tears you cried in secret have been turned into solid gold by the divine alchemist. You are incredibly wealthy in spirit, and that immense spiritual wealth is rapidly manifesting in your physical bank accounts because you trusted the divine timing completely. The universe carefully hid you in the dark shadows to protect your delicate blooming process. But now, the grand unveiling has finally arrived for the whole world to see. Step boldly out of the dark cave. Let your bright light blind those who wished for your absolute downfall. You do not need to say a single angry word to them, because your absolute success is the only loud revenge you will ever need in this lifetime. Take one final deep breath and pull this divine energy deep into your lungs. Hold it there for a moment. Feel the absolute peace washing over your tired bones. You survived the most brutal storm the enemy could possibly throw at your fragile heart. You stood incredibly firm when everything around you was violently shaking, proving to heaven that your deep faith is completely unbreakable. And now you get to enjoy the beautiful rainbow. The dark entities that once tormented your mind have completely lost their twisted grip. You literally starved them out of your sacred space by choosing supreme silence over bitter chaos. God has officially placed a heavy crown of favor upon your resting head. Wear it with absolute pride today. Never let anyone make you feel small again, because you are divinely meant to take up massive space in this expanding world. You are the true master of your own reality now. Nobody can ever steal your deep joy again. It is firmly anchored in the highest heaven. The toxic narcissists are completely locked out of your sacred garden forever. They can only stare through the heavy iron gates and deeply regret the terrible way they treated a pure chosen one while you thrive in absolute peace. Your beautiful journey of healing is officially complete today. You have successfully graduated from the painful school of earthly betrayal. The grand universe is handing you your spiritual diploma with massive cosmic honors. Walk fiercely forward into your brand new life with your head held incredibly high. You are entirely loved and protected by the powerful creator of the vast universe, and nothing can ever change that beautiful truth. Never forget the massive power you hold inside your quiet soul. You are a highly calibrated weapon of pure divine light. When you walk into a dark room, the shadows immediately scatter in absolute terror. Keep your strong boundaries exactly where they are right now. Protect your precious peace at all earthly costs, because your deep peace is the true source of your massive spiritual power. I am so incredibly proud of the beautiful warrior you have finally become. Heaven is loudly applauding your brilliant victory today. Remember to type your declaration down in the comments to seal this final deal. Hit subscribe to stay perfectly aligned with this high frequency. You are profoundly blessed beyond any earthly measure, so walk bravely into your brand new chapter with absolute confidence and joy. Have a truly wonderful and peaceful day, my beloved chosen one,